Never thank you for. I truly knew you were the man to unite with after witnessing the impact you had on children during our baseball coaching days. Children are often the best judges of character. They instinctively know who truly cares for them and who has their best interests at heart. It's clear that you're an extremely bright individual, but you always gave people from all backgrounds the rooms to express themselves and share ideas. I mostly appreciate your consistent commitment to stand your ground on ideas, your beliefs, and your standards. In a world where most people waver or play the room in order to avoid conflict or discussion, this is a unique characteristic and a trait that you possess. We have done some tremendous work here on this board. Numerous national and state awards, teacher grant scholarship, pre-K education opportunities, flexible work, educational support, spotlighting efforts to identify and address academic gaps in different subgroups, and a host of many things that many of you mentioned here tonight. But this is not the end. This is really, I said I wasn't going to do this, but a chance for you to rest, re-energize, and prepare for our next challenge, our cause. And when we need your assistance and your direction, you are definitely my friend. I love you, brother.
Thanks, Ralph. Anyone else? If not, again, thank you, all three of you, for your dedication and your service. And
Really quickly, I just want to thank you for, we talk a lot to our staff about wellness and time with your families, and I look at that as one of the most important things. Many hours you spend away from your families doing this job, all of you, right? And we really appreciate that. Time away is some of the most precious things, but the dedication you've had, the countless hours you put in, dealing with our crazy ideas that we have, really supporting us in what we do. So we really want to thank you very much for your time, energy, and all of the great things that you've done. I can't even add to that list. You guys are really great. Thank you.
anyone else?
And say thank you guys to Patty and Sarah. For the short time I know you. Billy. And let's say you know your future and just keep striving. Thank you.
And Tom, I just want to say thank you to Bill. He reached out to me when I started. He called me at home and he told me, I sent you something, so make sure you look at it. And it was like 3,000 pages. But I appreciate it. We worked together on the policy, ESME policy, and I thank you. He was just really great at helping me to understand and helping me to get through it. So thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it. And the short time that we worked together, I appreciate you, Sarah, for having input in what we needed to do. And it's been wonderful. And Addie, thank you so much just for helping me with the Culture Climate Committee. She sent me, again, I don't know what it is with the board. They send a lot of stuff. So she sent me all the things that I needed for just to have a grounding of what we needed to do. And I appreciate it so much. And of course, I wish you all the very best. I wish that everything that you're asking to do in the future, that God will grant you that, and that you will have all that you need, and that He will bless you with the desires of your heart.
Thank you.
Bill, Eddie, I think it's almost 1 year. Throughout the last 1 year, you both guided me, showed me the right way to do certain things, teach me something that we knew and knew, and always, like, I can always see a smile on both of your face, always willing to show us, the new things within the school system, what you do here. So I greatly, greatly appreciate And keep your phone open, I will be reaching it out to you. I'm probably need some information, but I greatly appreciate all your help throughout the year. And anytime if you need any help or anything, that you can definitely reach out to me. My door will be always open. Sarah, thank you very much for even the short research, but we really greatly appreciate your cooperation and working with us and short period of time, but you're very kind, always nice to us. So, and thank you for whatever you did for the school board. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to agenda item 8, which is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. In a time where many of us are questioning and somewhat challenging the standards of the state and ELA about where have the spelling and grammar gone in our younger grades, I want to point your attention to something in our agenda that we're happy to accept a $5,000 donation from Denzel Fagan, who is a retired custodian from the high school in Grandview, specifically for spelling bees at Grandview. So, originally he came and he says, I want to give $1,500 to the winner. We're like, whoa, wait a second. Why don't we spread this out over a few years? So, his donation of $5,000 will last, probably about 10 years of spelling bees in his name, which we're really happy to kind of resurrect over at Grandview and really kind of bring back that part of the ELA program. So we're happy to accept that donation and really thank him for that. Following up on what Zoe Scotto said, I think she said it appropriately, but I don't know if she really drove home the actual experience. 36 of our high school students sang at Carnegie Hall in New York City. Musicians look forward to that their entire life and never achieve that. And we have 36 of our high school students doing that. They sang with Colby Calais, Tori Kelly, Tim Janis. I'd like to thank Megan Swazo, the music teacher over at the high school, for her vision, her not stopping at any barriers. We really try to not only educate our students with the curriculum, but give them experiences of a lifetime. And I couldn't think of one better for those kids. So it's fantastic. And that's also in the superintendent's report. Also in the report is a little story on our Knollwood students, our third graders doing mystery Skype. And what they do is they have a teacher set it up from other states and our teacher, where the kids are Skyping a state in the country they don't know. And they have to ask appropriate questions to try to figure out where they are, such as landscape, weather, time zone, things like that. We happen to be video chatting with the Appalachian Mountains and a school district in Mississippi as well. And once we figured out where they were, they talked about commonalities, life in other places, things like that. And I'd like to thank the teacher, Karen Parsons, once again, just giving kids experiences they wouldn't normally have. It's great. Also in the superintendent's report, there are many other great articles that center on things that we hold close to our hearts and we really try to teach our kids, and that are wellness, mentorship, service to others, and respect. So if you have a chance, please look at those stories and really take in all the things that we're doing in our schools. I also asked Judy to help me put together our monthly thank you to a department. And this month, we'd like to thank our nursing department. As I mentioned before, you as a board, us as an administration, and all the way through the ranks in Piscataway, we talk about wellness and we talk about taking care of people. And gone are the days of school nurses just, keeping records and giving out Band-Aids and sending kids home for a cold. These people really are the spearheads in the building of wellness and really take care of our kids. And we really want to thank them very much for their efforts, their time, their attention to detail, keeping us in line with the state regulations, but also just being the rock there that the schools need. So we want to thank them. Now to some business from the superintendent's report. We have our semi-annual HIB and EBVRS reports, and I will ask Colleen Pongratz to come up and go first for our EBVRS report, and then we'll ask David Rubin to come and give our semi-annual HIB report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I also would like to thank the outgoing board members for everything you have done. This is our semi-annual report for, it used to be called EBVRS, it's now called SSDS, but it means the same thing. We compare the two periods. I'll just point your attention to, we report on violence, vandalism, substance abuse, weapons, and confirmed HIBs. So in the area of violence and vandalism, between vandalism and weapons, I want to point out that we had 0 infractions this term, so that's an excellent improvement. We had a slight increase in violence and quite a significant increase in substance, mostly at PHS. And a lot of that has to do with vaping. And when we are catching students vaping, we are uncovering some other things. So there's some programs that we've been putting into place. The Piscataway High School has been working closely with the Municipal Alliance. You would have seen them if you went to the Piscataway High School's back to school night. They're present there. The new HIB specialist, Mary Stephanie Rogers, is really collaborating with them. They've been present at school events. They were present for our Respect Week. They helped us to host a program called Hidden in Plain Sight, which is an educational program for our parents and also our educators and the students too, just to let them know that we're becoming aware of things that are hidden in plain sight and how to point things out to parents and to look for different things with their kids. We're also looking at a specific way to pinpoint our testing for student abuse to just make sure we're really pinpointing the needs of our students. Something that's been helping with the support of the students is we are doing group counseling with our students who have substance abuse. Sometimes we'll do individual counseling, but it is helping the students to have that counseling together. Another way that we work to keep this low, we had last period 53 infractions, and this period 70, which is an increase of 17. But I always like to remind the board that we have about 7,000 students, and although this seems like large numbers, it really is small in comparison to the size of our district. Although it is small, we do take it seriously, and any spikes that we see, we do address. You should feel very proud of the Piscataway community and how we are addressing some things. I also failed to mention that our HIBs went down in this period as well. So the way that happens and what we like to keep focus on is our building a positive climate and culture, which is one of many Dr. O'Nally's focuses for the district. Our school counselors do this. We also have a way of focusing on that within our curriculum in our classrooms. We ask our principals to work in the environment to make it a more positive place. So it never really ends. I have the opportunity to collaborate with Ms. Hobson. We have a culture and climate committee where we're constantly coming up with new ideas in order to keep our climates happy and positive. Does anyone, after taking a peek at this, have any questions about this month's report? Yes, Dr. Connors.
No, I just see that, what jumps out at me is in the same time period from last year is the substance abuse from 7 to 43. Is there a trend that you can see, or is there anything?
The trend is really vaping, and sometimes it's difficult to test what's in the vape, so we're working on that. So we always want to be careful, and we test all the students, which is where we're uncovering some things we may not have known. So although it's terrible students are vaping, we are learning more about them and how to support them. So again, this is a large spike, but it's actually very informative to us and giving us ways to support the students.
Thank you. So I saw that, there are a couple of things you're doing to go about, like, identifying it and catching students. Are there any types of programs that are going to be educational to the students about the dangers of vaping?
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned earlier, the partnership with the Municipal Alliance, their main focus is drug awareness. So, every time the high school invites them in, they're giving different programs and supports that they do outside of the school, within the school. They're promoting different ways to, avoid those habits or not succumb to peer pressure. The counseling department is constantly working with the students, and if under a circumstance where a child is found to be under the influence, they have some mandated sessions that they do, and recently they just started having the families do the initial session together, which I think is really important, because the students are able to become educated with their parent, and they're really going over all the supports that they can have, not only in school but at home, and who the right people are.
Thank you.
No problem.
This would be my question to you with the Municipal Alliance, which is a great service. I mean, the programs that they have are awesome. There's so much grant money for them. They're always trying to get to the kids. They're always having a problem getting to the children. Are we going to provide more opportunities for them, whether it be youth facilities or trying to, because the problem they were having was trying to get them at the municipality building. No parent or child wanted to go there. They felt the fear, like, oh my God. And they're trying to find them ways and avenues, because the program is, as you said, is very informative. There were things that I never knew. So are we trying to,
I
build-
actually met with Ms. Douglas, and she and I have an appointment to meet together with Dr. Dawson to figure out if those grant funds are appropriate for our schools and if we can give that support to them, so.
If I might add, the programs of In Plain Sight were held at our school.
Yes.
This particular one, the past one was at Quibbletown. And secondly, we also had them in conjunction with our health teachers at the high school to talk about smoking, vaping, things like that.
But I think, Ralph, you make an extremely important point, and that is that Dr. Ornelli invited me to In Plain Sight at Quibbletown, and it's how do we get parents to attend? Because if you looked at who attended, it was the people running the program, administrators, town officials, our SROs, but I didn't see very many parents, and those are the people that really needed to hear. This was imagine on stage, a former state trooper from New York had put together this program where he had a bedroom up on the stage. And he talked to you about substance abuse, first for a period of time, but then he said, imagine you have a teenager, let's go into their bedroom. And they took one by one items in the bedroom, and that's why it was called In Plain Sight, where things could be hidden, etc. I never knew that you could go online and buy a hoodie where the two things here were vaping. It was actually to be invisible. So anyway, you make an incredibly good point, Ralph, and I hope that we can try and get more parents involved.
And just a final point with that, we do have a grandparents association, and we have brought the Municipal Alliance there. We'll continue to do that, and that's been really successful as well, teaching our grandparents who are parenting those different skills as well. So, thank you. Oh, Mr. Irwin?
Have we had a chance, or will we be able to at some point in the future make some time to review the academic literature on some of the existing programs that take place at the elementary level and even beyond, just to kind of inform what we're doing? I think we'll find there's a considerable body of evidence that some programs work better than others, or some programs have not been shown or demonstrated statistically to be effective. But sometimes you just continue doing it and it happens because it's unpopular to change them.
I think we have to, just like technology. This particular program is one of the programs, but you could walk into Spencer's and buy a can that looks exactly like a Coca-Cola can, and the bottom screws off, you can have whatever you wanted. So we have to stay ahead of the times, right? We have to stay we have to work in conjunction with the police departments and the municipal alliance and to keep abreast of everything that we have. And you're right, if we're just doing a program because we've always done it, we can't.
Tang?
Are these vaping inside the school building or it's outside the school?
Sometimes it's inside. It is easier to vape inside of a school than to smoke a cigarette inside a school. So sometimes they're caught inside, sometimes they're caught outside. But as soon as we catch them, we certainly address it immediately.
Would either a vaping or a smoking offense, would that also be categorized under the substance abuse?
No, if it was nicotine, it wouldn't be considered substance abuse. But if you're in possession of a vape and we can't tell that it's a nicotine product, it may be treated the same, which is why I believe we have a spike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll be brief because Colleen has given you sort of a preview of what is in the HIB statistics, but the law does require that we produce a separate report on HIB twice a year. You have in your packets our analysis of the data from January to June. As Colleen had indicated, the numbers are not exactly half of what they were last year in terms of numbers of reports and numbers of findings, but just about half, which is a good trend. The law requires that we break down each of the incidents that were found substantiated, and you'll see there a description of each one with the resources that were put in place and whatever discipline was imposed. So the trend of downward numbers of reportings and downward numbers of findings of HIB continues, which I think shows that we are improving the school climate to the point where those numbers speak for themselves. So you have our report. If there's any questions, I can answer them now, or feel free to route them to me later on. If not, thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Ranelli. Now we'll move on to item 9, which is personnel and labor relations. Mrs. Deepan?
Be it resolved that the following motions, identified as items A through D, be approved as presented.
Okay, Mr. Board Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Hobson?
Yes.
Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes?
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mrs. Deepan?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Next item is item 10, committee reports. We'll be going over these now. See, there were 3 committees that met. Who would like to go first? Mr. Irwin?
The Policy and Legislative Committee met on Thursday, December 5th, to review and approve the updated assessment policy and regulations manual, to approve and review policy and regulation on civility developed by the administration, and also to review legislative developments of interest to the district. The committee recommended without further alteration that the full board adopt the Strauss-Esme Policy and Regulations Manual as presented for second reading this evening. The committee recommended that the full board adopt on first reading, the policy and regulation on civility. That regulation is intended to promote an atmosphere of respect in our district and puts in place regulations that detail how to enforce respectful behavior. On the legislative front, we noted that at the Legislative Assembly, the New Jersey School Boards, the resolution was passed supporting added language in the NJSBA policy manual to support holding the schools harmless or allowing schools to increase their tax levy over 2% cap in situations where that would be necessary in order to achieve adequacy funding without having to go to referendum or a budget vote. Senate President Sweeney has planned on introducing legislation to do just that, and I believe he's well along in the process. And also the Assembly Education Committee is currently looking at 6 bills to ensure that students are given hot meals in schools and end the process known as lunch shaming, and students' meal accounts are in arrears. We already discussed, we did that in Scottsdale here a couple of years ago, so
And if I can make a comment, is that we are a board of committees. Over time, our committees have, some have been combined, et cetera. I think it was a great move that we combined our policy with our legislative committee, and this gave us a way in which that we could report on key legislation that was happening that's pertinent to our district. Kim in the back over there, to be a new board member, she was at the Middlesex County School Board Association, and what'll happen there is that you'll actually have somebody from New Jersey School Boards giving one-page summaries on all of the active legislation and what's going on and how it affects your district. And then we bring it back and we put it in form of a report, which also, Bill, the other thing that I wasn't able to mention is that you would truly be missed because Mr. Irwin and others provided such a great structure for how we were actually putting together our reporting on committees and reporting out to get the information out there. Specifically, though, just on legislation, is that I had mentioned to everyone that I was going down as your delegate to New Jersey School Board's Delegate Assembly. That belief that we actually did pass by a wide majority of something like 139 delegates, like 29. I'm sorry that I didn't get out the specifics ahead of time, but knew that that's where the momentum was going. Actually, President Sweeney of the Senate, President Sweeney, showed up at that Delegate Assembly, and subsequent to that, this was in another good source is New Jersey School Board's website under Board Notes, and the news today was that the legislative update cap relief bill approved by the Senate committee. So what Bill was just talking about was actually approved today, and it does allow districts that, and Shalila, you had mentioned, it's basically that allowing them to go above the 2% cap without going out to referendum. But people think that now that's going to affect their property taxes all over the state, but that's not the case because it's a very targeted piece of legislation. It's legislation that targets those districts that were overfunded and now are on a 6-year plan to get back in line with their state funding. And it's those districts, specific districts, where this state calculation says that they're very rich, but they can't get that amount difference in property taxes. So there'll be districts out there that'll find themselves, that they want it, they'll be short by $500,000 out of 100,000. So what's that? That's 0.5%. They'll be able to go to 2.5% without going through a referendum question. And that's what this legislation is about. It gives relief to these really hard-hit districts where there's a big correction to the state formula now, and that's key. But anyway, thank you, Bill. I just wanted to say
Tom, just on that point, it's important that you bring up because right away people hear
Right.
over the 2% cap and they say, oh no, our taxes are going through the roof. Piscataway is not one of those districts.
Piscataway is not one of those districts.
We were an underfunded district for many years. We're still underfunded in terms of the School Funding Reform Act formula in our state aid. But that the ability to go over the cap for these reasons expressed in that bill does not apply to us.
Does not apply to us, right. And, but, if you're on a board, or you find yourself in that situation, it's a very difficult situation, have tough decisions to make. Shalila, you want to?
Okay, the Culture Climate Community Relations Committee met on November 19th, and the purpose was to review steps towards the goals for the coming year. And goal 1 was continue sharing positive messages in the schools. Kanakamak Middle School is utilizing the Breen Brown philosophy to introduce the positive messaging campaign. School administrators working with students to develop messaging that focuses on leadership qualities to present to the committee before implementing. The committee discussed Black History Month and having principals develop collaborative positive messaging for the new electronic signs posted during February. Our second goal was to continue building our partnerships with colleges and universities, particularly Rutgers, and to develop partnership within our community and local businesses. Rutgers University Division of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, DICE, provided books about African American history at Rutgers. The committee recommended a link on the district website to recommend reading the book, reading the list. Rutgers Volunteer Partnership was discussed, and we discussed that because we were trying to get more volunteers to come out to assist in the different programs that we put on. Goal 3 was to develop and implement volunteer outreach for schools and district events and other needs. The committee discussed volunteer recruitment. I want to thank Colleen so much for her continued help and support at getting those things done, and I'm prayerful and hopeful that the volunteers will show up and we'll be able to say that we've done a lot more with the volunteers. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment that I think that it's a terrific idea with the signs and the sort of cohesive messaging through the district.
Yeah.
That's a good use.
Yeah, thank you.
And we are getting more people to show up.
Yeah.
As you can see, that there have been an average of 1 or 2 people showing up I've seen every meeting. The number on that committee now has really grown,
Yeah.
so it's great. Last, the Fiscal Plannings and Operations Committee, we met December 4th, and we reviewed the 2018-2019 audit, which you heard about tonight, 2020-2021 budget schedule, capital projects, and other ongoing projects. I'll go past the audit just to capital reserve. Capital reserve, we're very healthy, as David Gannon had indicated, is that we actually have, it's a very healthy fund, but a lot of that money is in this year's budget will be the upgrade to the Piscataway High School stadium. It's budgeted for the bleachers in that area. The business office, though, in capital reserve is updating the long-range facilities plan. The committee reviewed available funds, and some of those funds in discussion of what needs to be done around in the schools are the middle school auditoriums. So the middle school auditoriums will get upgrades, Kanakamak, Shore, and then actually the high school is going to get some lighting upgrades. The 2021 budget, we reviewed the timetable, the input requests, and a process where you go out to the schools and get input from the administrators, and that's being reviewed. The final marquee, the capital projects, I hope everyone able to see it. The Piscataway High School marquee is now up and working, and I think that's not only good for our school system, but it's good for the town as well. Just think if something were to happen. I was actually talking to fire commissioners, actually talking to the police chief at the tree lighting at the municipal building, and the people on the council, is that you can go from one end of a town, and I'm not sure how we can work this out, but if there was an emergency, you could have the same message down in one area of town as another area of town on those marquees.
Judy has control over all of them.
Yeah, and it's a great, the features are great and the benefits are great. I talked about the stadium upgrades, professional service. We're going to ensure Piscataway schools receive the most comprehensive services. The business office will issue requests for proposal for professional services such as insurance companies. Transportation, we began, as people know, we get the preschool grant, and